How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. So today we're talking about the third base position. Now, we have discussed Oswald Peraza, and he's going to be part of this conversation, but there are a couple alternatives the Yankees can consider here. I actually have a perspective in mind, specifically I think could work out for this situation, actually, and I want to get your take on it, Ryan. Obviously, we'll go through the three different primary methods of solving this spot that I have. You may have a couple of more, but I'll kind of outline it for you right now. They're pretty obvious. Obviously, you have Oswald Peraza who can play third base. We're going to break that down, what that might look like. Or you have DJ LeMahieu who could transition over to third base full time. We'll break that down and what I think could look like there. Actually, I like that option. And then the third option is a free agent like Jeimer Candelario, which, we've talked about extensively in the past. He was linked to the Yankees at the trade deadline, a switch-hitting bat, decent defender, 29 years old. You're going to have to pay for him. Not my favorite option at this point in time because I have an alternative idea in mind. But Ryan, I'll let you get started here with Oswald Peraza because this is a young player, 23 years old, struggled a bit trying to find his offensive identity over a smaller sample size with the Yankees this season. I think it was like maybe 50, 52 games or so. So he had a couple of games there. He had some good action. But we're still kind of waiting for him to hit his stride offensively and showcase the value we need him to kind of produce. What do you think about Peraza at this point in time? And do you think it's realistic to think that he could be starting at third base in 2024?
Well, obviously, there was a report that came out that the Yankees are not very interested in trading him, so I think that tells you that they have some things in mind for him at third base. But, the bat, I think that we have to have an honest conversation about the Yankees and the way that they've utilized Oswald Peraza. In the minor leagues, at least, towards the end in AAA, he was big on hitting for power. I mean, his last 116 AAA games, he hit 28 home runs with a 125 WRC+, 19.7% strikeout rate, 289, 368, 515 slash line. Not the most passive hitter, more of a really just aggressive, go out, swing early, try to, do damage on baseballs. And at the major league level, the Yankees have tried to tweak that. You've seen a toe tap. You've seen, more passive approaches at the plate. And quite honestly, Alex, the Yankees have to sit down and have a conversation with Peraza of, look, we're going to make you our starting third baseman, or we're going to give you the opportunity to start. We need you to go out there and, take the rips and have the confidence you had at the minor league level, at the major league level. Look. You can't develop a young player by having them sit behind Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in 2022. He was good enough to start Game 2 of the ALCS in 2022, but wasn't good enough to start in September of that same season. That's silly, right? When Josh Donaldson would go down, Oswald Peraza wasn't good enough to start at third base when Josh Donaldson was even here in the first place when he came back from that second injury. Josh Donaldson just immediately got to get his job back. If I'm Oswald Peraza, I need starting reps, right? Like, that's the only way you're going to build confidence at this level, and there needs to be that certainty that he's not going to just get sent down or going to get benched if he doesn't play good over 3 games. Let him play every single day. Let him take aggressive swings. He's got pretty good power if you think about it. Like, he's hit a ball 112 miles an hour at the AAA level. He hit a ball, I think, like it was 110, about 450 into left center field against the Diamondbacks. He had a nuke against them. But he clearly has the raw power tools, and the Yankees do well with guys who have good raw power tools. So why not let him be that type of hitter? Sure, maybe he's not going to be the slap hitter that, you expect most defensive first guys to be, but I don't feel like any player should try to hit a certain way, or follow a certain philosophy based on their skill set, based on, predisposed notions on them. I think players should go out and be the player that their skill sets say they should be. And Peraza should be an aggressive hitter who utilizes his raw power, takes aggressive swings. And look, I'm not saying go out there and strike out 30% of the time, but what I am saying is if that strikeout rate's 23 to 24%, is it really the worst thing in the world if he's got a 100 to 105 WRC plus and is hitting for pretty good power? Absolutely not. And also, really good defensive skills, great arm, obviously, really good athlete, great speed. I do think this has the makings of a pretty good major league player, but again, it comes down to the Yankees' player development and, of course, their ability to just trust the guy to play the position full time. Again, I don't want to see, I honestly don't want to see DJ LeMahieu playing the first game of the season if Peraza's still here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, the truth is, I think Peraza's offensive identity could develop into a pretty solid contact hitter, some underrated power. I don't think he's going to hit 20-plus homers a year, but maybe he can hit 10, get on base a decent clip. I just am concerned about the on-base percentage a little bit. I think that there's a little bit of a worry there that he's not going to be able to crack like 30%, 32%, which to me it's just not high enough. I would like to see a little bit better there. This is actually my preferred kind of way to address this position, Ryan. And I think that it makes the most sense. I think that you take DJ LeMahieu, who's right now your utility man, and you start him at third base full time. And what do you do in lieu of that? You actually transition Oswald Peraza into your everyday utility man in the infield. And whenever DJ has to play first base, you just move Peraza back to third base. I think that's a fine opportunity there because, look, DJ is on this team. His post All-Star break numbers are really good. Like, he was hitting off the charts. I think he was hitting like 275 with like a 377 OBP after the All-Star break once they hired Sean Casey. Dude was lights out. He still has the juice. And he had a .991 fielding percentage, I believe, at third base with, 3 defensive runs saved and 3 outs above average. I'm just kind of firing this off the top of my head. But this is a good defensive player, a good bat. I think he should be playing third base full time for the Yankees and then move Oswald Peraza into that utility role that DJ was previously playing. And then, just put him at first base, DJ, if you need to rest Anthony Rizzo for any reason, and then you just move Peraza back to third base. And I think that's a fine strategy because end of the day, you're going to get a lot of value there. We know how much DJ LeMahieu was playing, despite the fact that he was our utility man. He was in the lineup every single day. So there's going to be chances for Peraza to play on an everyday basis almost. And I do feel as though right now I trust DJ LeMahieu a little bit more. But the downside to that is you're not giving Peraza the ability to lock down a specific spot. You're putting him into a utility role that may hurt his value and may hurt his continuity. That is a concern, and I think that is something that you kind of have to maybe live with. Like, he's going to get more reps than ever before as a utility man than playing in AAA. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that is generally a good option. But I will say this for the Yankees specifically. If they want to go get Juan Soto, and this kind of plays into the Heimer Candelario segment, if they want to go get Juan Soto, they have the luxury, if they do land Soto, to play young players and let them develop in real time. So if the Yankees do get Juan Soto and he's hitting 275 with a 40% on base rate, and he's hitting 35 homers a year, and he's kicking ass, you can afford for Peraza to get everyday reps at third base and struggle in the beginning because you have Aaron Judge, you have Soto, you have Glaber, hopefully Stanton gets a little bit better, and you got DJ, you have, Rizzo, you have a good group of players there that you can build around. And I feel as though the Yankees can survive the early struggles of some of their rookies and younger players if they have that type of firepower at the top of their order, just generating run production. So I'll ask you this, Ryan, kind of the question of, do you think that DJ LeMahieu playing third base and transitioning Peraza into this more of a utility role actually helps this team, actually provides this team with a bit more experience and maybe like someone you can trust at the hot corner, whereas Peraza otherwise, would have been playing there every day, but I still think he gets a lot of playing time in a utility role, and he gets more experience at multiple positions, which I think has value in its own right.
Yeah, well, I think it kind of depends on what the Yankees do, right? Like, in the situation in which they get Juan Soto, I mean, you can kind of live with Oswald Peraza trying to figure it out for a little bit because you have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Like, I'm not saying, like, I see a lot of, like, tweets and, like, replies and posts about Juan Soto on his own isn't enough. I don't know, man. I think Juan Soto on his own is probably enough to change an offense. Ideally, you get somebody else to kind of help you out. I mean, you don't have a center fielder, so you would need to still get a center fielder. But I mean, it's Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, right? Like, I do you really have to think that hard to see how those two are going to be good? But if they don't do that, if they aren't able to get like a good amount of upgrades on the offense side of the ball, then yeah, it's going to be a little harder to trust, say, hey, you know what, Peraza, just go rock, right? Like, you've got the position locked down for X amount of time. Don't worry about it, right? Because you're going to need to win games, right? Like, winning games is still the priority. And you're right, DJ LeMahieu is the safer option. DJ LeMahieu was an okay hitter last year, right? Which, again, doesn't sound great, but, if he's a 6th or 7th hitter, having an okay hitter really isn't the worst thing in the world. What's the average WRC plus from like a 6th or 7th hitter? It's like 98 or something like that. I think people overrate just like how, good a quote-unquote deep lineup looks like. It's not 9 guys who put up a 120 WRC plus. It looks more like 5 or 6, and then you've got the bottom of the lineup, and they're all just solid, right? And DJ LeMahieu would be a part of that, but he can't be like the leadoff hitter. I feel like that's what you don't want. You want DJ LeMahieu, the leadoff hitter. You want DJ LeMahieu like the 6th or 7th hitter at this point in his career. But Could Peraza work as a utility guy? Certainly. Like he's a good enough defender at second, short, and third that he'll provide a bunch of value. But again, I just think that the development for him works a lot better playing every day. And it's kind of the big thing for me here right now when it comes to Oswald Peraza is I really do buy into this idea that if he's a little bit more of an aggressive hitter and leans into his skill set, because traditionally speaking, you're right, he is an aggressive hitter. You are going to worry about that OBP because he's not going to walk a ton if he's hitting the way he, naturally hits at the minor league level. But there's that off chance, right, where he clicks. There's that off chance that, he finds that power stroke. He does what, we're sitting here saying, like, is he going to ever be able to hit 20 home runs? The guy hit 28 in his last 116 AAA games. I know that the run environment there is a little bit wonky, but he's done it, right? Like, it's at every minor league level, he's hit for good power. So I guess the question is that going to ever translate? And Alex, if it does, you're in a really good spot because now your third base spot is locked up. If Volpe is solid, offensively, you've got your shortstop spot locked up. Both cheap guys who are not going to cost you anything for the next 5 years. Then you can look at positions and say, all right, let's we can give Juan Soto that big time deal, and it's not a worry. When Gleyber Torres hits free agency, you're not forced to re-sign him. I'm not saying I don't want to sign Gleyber Torres, but you can think about it. You know what I mean? Or you can explore other options, or maybe Trey Sweeney's better, or whatever happens. I don't know. But you can let the course of the season kind of play out here. But the reason that DJ LeMahieu is so valuable for this team, and I wouldn't trade DJ unless it was somebody's like, hey, we'll take the entirety of the contract, and you can go sign Juan Soto because of it. The reason I wouldn't trade him is because, as you mentioned, he's kind of a nice security blanket. When all else fails, look, is average sexy? Is average awesome? Is average lovely? No, but is average going to help you at times when you need guys to just be playable because your starters aren't good enough? Absolutely. I mean, look, imagine if the Yankees got average out of the rest of their lineup outside of Aaron Judge. They'd be in the playoffs. And look at the postseason, Alex. Any of these teams scream, hey, this team couldn't have been beat by the Yankees. The Yankees thwarted the Diamondbacks at home to end the season. The Yankees played well against the Rangers at home. Those are both teams that don't have bullpens, so if it came down to a game of attrition, you would expect the Yankees to win those games. The Astros couldn't start, their starting pitching couldn't do anything, right? The Rays looked terrible. They didn't even look like a Major League Baseball team. The Orioles got thwarted. The Twins, they got beat pretty bad by the Astros. Blue Jays got swept. My point overall here is if the Yankees get average, and DJ LeMahieu is average, and it's around Aaron Judge, they're probably going to make the playoffs. They've got the pitching to do it. But you aim for a little bit higher, and I feel like Peraza has the higher ceiling, but LeMahieu has the higher floor. And as you mentioned a little bit with Candelario, and I know I'm running off a little bit here, Heimer Candelario would give them a switch hitter, right? And look, I'm not a big proponent of this idea that you should only sign left-handed hitters, but if a good switch hitter / left-handed hitter is available, why shouldn't the New York Yankees sign them? He has a pretty high pulled fly ball rate. He has a 110 WRC plus since 2020. It's not like this is an off year for him where it's like, oh, he's randomly good at baseball. He put up a 117 WRC plus. He was a solid fielder. If this guy's hitting fifth for you, he's got the contact skills. You feel like Heimer Candelario is the right guy to have in runners in scoring position. I know that's very boomerish to say, but a guy with a pretty decent contact rate, makes solid swing decisions, and has good power. He's just all around a pretty good hitter. It's kind of perfect for this team. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's options here for the Yankees. They can go out and spend the money, throw money at the position, or go with the guys that they have on the roster. Personally, I feel as though because we may go big for a Juan Soto that's going to cost $30+ million a year, and that's including 2024 in arbitration, they're going to want to keep costs down a little bit. And I think that ultimately the best way to go about that is to go with guys you have available, and that ultimately is DJ LeMahieu, and it ultimately is Oswald Peraza. So maybe you use a blend of those two guys. Maybe you start the season with Peraza. If he's struggling, you kind of relegate him into a utility role and have DJ LeMahieu take over full-time at third base. Maybe that's what they end up doing. But I think spring training is going to give us a lot of options and a lot of answers next year. But we got the World Series kind of rolling to an end here, and we have free agency opening up soon. Rumor has it that Steinbrenner and Cashman are going to do a press conference relatively soon, and Judge is out here saying the bigger moves are coming. I mean, to me, it sounds like the Yankees are about to make some actionable moves, and I think that this is not going to be a quiet offseason. They always talk like they're going to be really aggressive, and then they don't end up being but I think that they're committed to building around Judge and Garrett Cole while they're still in their prime. I don't think they want to waste this opportunity, and I think Steinbrenner is pissed off enough that he wants to get back on top, and the best guy on the market, Juan Soto, in terms of trade opportunities, is 25 years old and played 162 games this past season. If the Yankees miss out on another superstar talent, talent that actually shows up and plays well every day, they're going to be kicking themselves every single day for the next 5-6 years, 100%. I have no doubt about it. You don't find guys like this. I mean, for God's sake, half of our prospects about to get called up are the age of Juan Soto, and none of them are even closely resembling how talented this man is. It's a matter of time before we make a run at this guy. I think that, usually it's just rumors. I don't think it is this time around. I think that there's smoke here. I think there's a fire here. And I think the Yankees are going to be making a strong push for Soto because he fits us like a freaking glove. I'm excited, guys. But always happy to hear perspectives below about this third base position. Definitely curious to hear what you think the Yankees should do here. But I do think DJ LeMahieu Peraza will probably get the opportunities on the hot corner in 2024. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.